Hello there. Good day and welcome to a video about house fires and what happened after. Um, what's been happening with me is that I've been quite busy trying to keep everything together and not really been able to respond to everybody in the manner I normally would have. And I think some people may want to have a more in-depth idea of what's going on here with me, with the house, possibly with the shop, and what to expect, though the last is something I'm not really sure what I can say about it at this time. So I hope this video doesn't come off as me complaining about things. It's me trying to help other people understand what's going on and what may be causing a different kind of response from me than normally. If I feel good, I will generally be quick to answer to things, be on top of everything and not get caught up in detail as much. But right now I'm very caught up in a lot of details regarding the house, the rebuild, and the financial side of things, which have been getting out of control recently because of some developments. So I think the best place to start is the fire itself. It happened on the 31st of October. In the evening, I don't know the exact time. What was happening is that Saskia and myself were in the living room enjoying some food, some dinner, and at a certain time the power went out, and it didn't quite sounded the way normally it sounds when when power gets lost. Normally it's just a occurrence where you're like, oh, fire went out. It sounded different to me, so first thing I did is walk out into the hallway. I saw something in the kitchen, and when I entered the kitchen block was on fire, and the pan with hot grease on the fire, so on the stove, and the stove itself were on fire. So the first thing I did was yell that there was fire, and try to turn off the stove, and then I think I threw a lid on the pan, because as far as I'm aware, if you have a grease fire, you want to do that first. And as I recalled, the only other thing you can do is put a blanket over it. So I went back into the hallway. I think at this time Saskia was aware of the fire, and we communicated that she was going to have to call the emergency services, and I was already attempting to put it out. So I was continuing to put the fire out. I found a blanket. By the time I threw that on, it was getting really scary for me, and I was looking for a second blanket when the stress or the situation came too much. So I was no longer able to breathe. There was a lot of smoke, and I wasn't sure what to do next. So I yelled out that I wasn't able to breathe. Saskia was at the back door of the house. She said I had to go there. We had to get out. I must have been in great panic, because it's not something I truly remember anymore. After the fire brigade came to her house, I think what they told me, or they told the neighbor, that what I did was very smart, but there was also fire from the extractor hood up onto the roof. So the entire roof above the kitchen, above the hallway, was on fire at the time we were getting out. So I'm very I guess we were very lucky to get out of the house at that time. The fire had been burning for a while, and if the brigade wouldn't have gotten there at this time, if I wouldn't have closed all the doors behind me, for example, getting out, I'm not sure if the house was still standing by the time it was all put out. The luck we had is that the living room is under a pitched roof. That entire piece of the house never was on fire, so there's a lot of smoke damage there, like a hell of a lot of smoke damage, but it's not structurally unsound. The rest of the house is. So the kitchen, the bedrooms, and everything beyond, like the roof itself, all the walls, everything was rubbish and has to be replaced. So it's structural damage is intense and immense. We were told that most of the items in the house would be useless. For example, I was working on some new skates. I just gotten some wizard frames, which I have next to me now. Of course, those are aluminum. You can clean that. It's not really a problem. The plastic of the skates and the carbon fiber of the skates, all the cloth, everything that was cloth in the house, it's not salvageable. I cleaned some skate stuff for like 10 times. It's been in an ozone room with the goal of getting the smoke out. It does not work. So all that stuff is lost to us. Lost to me. Next to that, what they told us is that we had a very good insurance and that everything would be covered. So even though I found it very hard to get rid of much of the stuff, so like for example my quad skates, I was very keen on those. My Majestic 12s from '96, I've great experiences with those, so I would have wanted to keep them, but they weren't clean enough by the time we got them finished that I would have wanted to keep them. And then a lot of people were like, well, you can just put it outside, maybe the smoke will get out, or maybe it will get better. What I think is what people don't realize is that the smoke damage, it sounds alright, but the smoke is burning air. Let's call it burning air. So there's burning particles in the air, it falls on something and it embeds into whatever it is. So if I have a skate and there's burnt material embedded in it and it heats up again, the smokes, the smell will get out again. So it's not really feasible to recover these items. I would have kept them in hindsight. Would have kept a lot of stuff in hindsight. There was computer stuff, there were cameras all over the place, but we had the unfortunate, we had an unfortunate accident where instead of sending some quality cleaners over who knew what they were doing, the first team of cleaners were people who had no idea what they were doing. The person from the insurance told me that everything would be covered. So I went about and wrote down everything I had skate-wise. There was quite an amount of that. I wrote down everything that was important to me at that time, which was not going to be able, which they weren't going to be able to clean. And the people helping us clean really did just ripped open a drawer and were like, okay, there's DVDs in here. There's 50 DVDs, and they threw it in a bag. And there was no thought to it. Now these drawers were behind a pretty sealed up cupboard. So there's quite a chance that some of them would have just been clean. Not even cleanable, but clean. But they were all thrown out. And now the problem came recently where insurance is saying, well, everything that is a computer, a camera, or a collection Collections would include CDs, a collection of CDs. I had a couple thousand of those. A collection of DVDs. I had a couple thousand of those as well. The collection also includes my skates. And there's a maximum amount for these kind of items. So instead of getting 60 grand for those kind of items, we're getting 15. Which is, it just means that I don't know at this point in time what I can, what I cannot afford. What it means for the business, for the NoPro shop, I cannot, with any certainty, go and buy new stock. So I had imagined that there would be a budget of 150,000 euros to rebuild the house. That's an estimated damage to the house. And there would be like a good amount of money left besides that, which, let's say 20k of that I could invest into the shop. So I could buy some frames, some wheels. I've been working on getting the front of the shop to a place where I can rebuild and service bicycles. So I was thinking, okay, I'll buy I buy some tools and some stuff for the shop, and I can just keep going. I buy some photography gear, and that money's all gone. So recently I've just not been able to work on any of that. Now try not to cast any shade here, but the cleaners, after a couple days I sent away the cleaners that they sent first. So the people who were just grabbing stuff and throwing it out, I sent those away. I was like, I don't know what these people are doing here. One of them kept saying like, yeah, I normally only wash windows, you know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm here. So I'm there, upset to see that a watch I was very keen on, or clothing I was very keen on, it's all destroyed now and it has to be thrown out. And then there's somebody who's like, yeah, acting like a fool. So eventually we got some different cleaners, and afterwards they were going to assess the damage. So the valuable items were all written down, and they basically said, well, we don't know what to do with these lists. So it was a pack, like a stack of discs of lists they had made of items which were thrown out. But it was all written terribly bad. It was all written fast. A lot of things were missing, and a lot of things didn't make any sense. So they wrote down chair and then a brand name that didn't exist. So they didn't know what to do with it. So I spent 2, maybe 3 months going through all the lists. They had pictures I had, because I had taken pictures of the house after the fire. So I could kind of reconstruct what would have been there, and then find out what an item would be worth. Going through their rules for what the value would have been at the time, and there's a lot of stipulations about that. Basically everything worth more than 40% of new value should be counted as new, stuff like that. So I spent all my time on that. In the meantime, I went to work for Errol at his skate shop. He said like, hey man, I need some help. I know you've been in rough times. You could use some money. Come work for me. So I was like, sure. I took him to the airport, and I've never seen him again. And I don't think he intends to come back. The problem with this is that he's not paid me for the hours I made. He's not paid me for driving back and forth, which he said he would cover gas money. He did not. So that's a big loss. Then I sent out some parcels for him at some time. Not paid that either. So the things I have tried doing haven't made me any money at all. and all the time I invested in trying to get the lists ready also didn't really pay out. So I suppose it should be bad enough just to have a house fire. It's way more than that. I'm the kind of person who can open a drawer behind me, and before I look in it, I would know what's in there. Because I put it there, it's been there because it has a reason to be there. And at this point, all the stuff I used to have either doesn't exist or it's in a warehouse where I'm not sure if it's clean, or it's around here somewhere, and I've lost all semblance of what I still have, what I still own, and what I still need. Besides that, I don't know what kind of money I'm gonna have the coming months, maybe even the coming year. So it's gonna put the life I had on hold, and I'm not sure how to go from there. I think the insurance made a big mistake in the beginning when they said, well, everything's covered, and then later they said, well, everything but this and that. I know I should have expected this, but I didn't expect there to be such a big difference. I believe the number is something like 50,000 euros in items I use daily, which I'm not going to get back. I may have overspent on some other stuff just to get them as we needed them. Normally I would buy a second-hand couch. Now the whole deal from the insurance agent was like, just buy what you need right now. Don't worry about it, so we didn't. And that really hasn't sat well with me from there. Because I normally don't really buy anything expensive. If I buy an expensive item, I will make sure it's at a very cheap price. So I feel let down, and I feel like the work I've put in hasn't been worth it. So that's kind of sad. Yeah, I think it's kind of sad. Now, I've got a couple of people who were interested in helping me. I don't really know how somebody can help me with this. What I have been trying to do is trying to rebuild the shed I was gonna make into a skate park, and put a nice floor in there. Sadly, the floor hasn't worked out because of moisture, and there's a tree in the way, which I've been trying to find someone to get that out of there, because the friend I had helped me with the trees around here in the past, he's fallen from a roof very shortly after the fire, and I don't really want him to go up in a tree and endanger himself either. So yeah, I spend a lot of time working on myself, and I hope that by the time that the build is underway and everything's getting more manageable, that's going to show, that I'm going to be the person I used to be, or a newer version of that. I don't really care that much about who I was, but someone who is at least happy to be working hard again, and feels like what's being done has a good impact and has a good effect. I'm very helpful for everybody who did try to reach out to me, but I'm not in a place where I could just talk to you for hours and explain every detail. There's a lot of people who care for what exactly happened, or what exactly is lost, but I don't know these things, and I don't think they are the things I should be spending my energy on too much. It's not a very nice subject, and it's not going to be a very nice subject. It's been quite horrible. Right now we are in a temporary home. This temporary home sucks. It's very hard to get it warm enough to reside in. If it is windy, which there's wind coming in from sea, so it usually is windy. The wind just blows through it, so that really isn't helpful. And all the planning stuff that we need to get the house to a state where we can live in it is taking very long, and it's draining. So I hope I can get back to it work-wise, video-wise. I miss making videos. I miss working hard on getting new items on the shop, but I miss stuff. I don't have an area in here which can be easily used for photography. I don't have my gear anymore. We bought one camera, but that's not going to be enough. I need a background, I need lighting. So I'm unsure what to do, and until I know what amount of money we're getting and I have it, I'm not too sure if I can do anything until then. So I hope it's okay for all the all the people waiting for a reaction, or people expecting things of me, to bear with me for a little while longer. It's been hard to even try and make a video about it or try and reach out to people. So I hope this helps for you guys, and I'm still in a fairly good place considering the situation, but it's draining, and I've had enough of it of waiting and trying and getting beat down all the time. Don't really have a nice thing to say at the end of the video, so I just hope that if you are, due to COVID, due to a war going on or whatever, if you are not in a good place right now, I hope you can find some help. I've been in pretty much constant contact with mental health professionals, with my friends and family, to try and get through this. I couldn't have done any of this alone. So I hope, if for some reason you are in a dark place, you can find it in yourself to reach out to a doctor or somebody who can help you. Because even though it's quite horrible to not have a house, by the time it's going to be done, I will. I'm going to make sure the house is going to be better than it was. I'm going to make sure that my life will not get derailed entirely by this, even though it's derailed quite a bit. And it's nothing like the end of the world for me. I think that's the most positive thing I can say about it. I hope you enjoyed this video, or was enlightening, maybe. And I hope I can get my skating to a place where I can film more of it and share it with you guys. Because it's been a while going from surgery to recovery to having some more problems with my body and getting back to this stage. So I hope you all have a good day and a good weekend, and if there's anything I can do for anybody, I'd love to hear it. And I hope you enjoyed my rambling. Thank you.